Mom said our anniversary trip was canceled over budget issues. 1 week later, I found 87 Paris photos with everyone but me. I stayed silent until she asked me for $5,000. Then I sent the math. I found out my entire family went to Paris without me through a Facebook album. Not through a phone call, not through a text message, not even through a guilty little postcard that said, "Wish you were here." I found out through 87 photos posted online. 87 bright, smiling, perfectly framed photos of my mom, my dad, my 2 sisters, their husbands, their kids, and even my Aunt Carol, who I was almost sure did not own a passport until that moment, standing together in front of the Eiffel Tower like a stock image for the world's happiest family vacation. And me, I was home in my apartment, eating leftover pizza, believing the lie my mom had told me 3 weeks earlier. 3 weeks before, that Facebook album destroyed the way I saw my family. My mom called me while I was sitting at my desk at work, halfway through debugging code that made me want to throw my laptop out the window. She sounded serious the second I answered. She called me honey and said she had bad news. I asked her what was wrong. She told me the anniversary trip had to be canceled. It was supposed to be my parents' 40th wedding anniversary trip. We had been planning it for months. A week in Vermont, a cabin by the lake, the whole family together. I had already requested time off work. I had bought hiking boots. I had even practiced making s'mores without burning the marshmallows because my mom was strangely particular about marshmallow texture. So when she said it was canceled, I asked her why. She sighed, and the sigh sounded so genuine that I actually felt bad for her. She said they were having budget issues. My dad's truck needed a new transmission, and it was going to cost $1,500. She said they just could not manage both things at the same time. I immediately told her I could help. I said I could cover part of it. She refused right away. She told me I had done enough. She reminded me that I had just gotten a promotion and said I should save my money. She said we would do something smaller instead, maybe a nice dinner. Then she said family was together no matter where we were. I believed her. I told her I loved her. She told me I was such a good son. I hung up feeling guilty that I had even offered money, like somehow my offer had rubbed my financial stability in her face. So I canceled my time off request. I returned the hiking boots. I went back to my regular life. And I did not think about it again until I opened Facebook 3 weeks later. I was not even looking for anything. I was just mindlessly scrolling during my lunch break with a sandwich in one hand, my phone in the other, and my brain on autopilot. Then I saw it. My sister Rachel had posted an album titled Paris Family Trip 2024, 87 photos. I sat there with my sandwich frozen halfway to my mouth, staring at my phone like it had just confessed to a crime. The first photo was everyone at the airport with matching luggage and matching excitement. The second was everyone on the plane with my mom holding a glass of champagne. The caption said they were cheering to 40 years. The third photo was outside a cafe, everyone holding croissants like they were starring in a romantic comedy. Then there were more photos. The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Notre Dame, a river cruise, fancy restaurants, hotel rooms with views. Everyone smiling, everyone together. Everyone except me. I scrolled through every single photo. There was not one picture of me, not one mention of me, not even one comment like they wished I could have been there. There was only silence, like I did not exist. My brain tried to rationalize it because that is what brains do when something feels too cruel to be real. Maybe the photos were old. No. Rachel's kid was wearing a shirt that said Paris 2024. Maybe the photos were edited. No. There was a TikTok video embedded in the album, and everyone was moving and laughing and very clearly standing in Paris. Maybe I was in some of the photos and had missed myself. I scrolled again. I checked every face. I zoomed in on every group shot. No, just them. I put my sandwich down because I suddenly was not hungry anymore. My phone buzzed. It was a text from my coworker Jenny asking if I was okay because apparently I had been staring at my phone for 10 minutes. I looked up from the break room table and realized I had been frozen there long enough for people to notice. I told her I was fine, just family stuff. She asked if everything was okay. I told her it depended on how she defined okay. She raised an eyebrow, but she did not push. Jenny was good like that. I went back to my desk and tried to work. I could not focus. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photos. My mom in Paris holding champagne, celebrating 40 years of marriage. On the anniversary trip she had told me was canceled because of budget issues. But apparently, the budget was fine. The budget was more than fine. The budget took 8 people to Paris for a week. The budget just did not include me. I opened my messages and found the conversation with my mom from 3 weeks earlier. I stared at the words about budget issues and not being able to swing both expenses until they stopped making sense. Then I did something I was not proud of. I checked my bank account. I looked at my transactions from the last month. $200 to my mom for groceries, $300 to Rachel for an emergency car repair, $150 to my other sister Ashley for the kids' school supplies. I had given my family $650 in the last month alone while they were saving up for Paris. I closed my laptop. I told my boss I felt sick. Then I went home, sat on my couch, and stared at the wall. My cat Benson jumped up beside me and looked at me with those judgmental cat eyes that somehow always know when you are spiraling. I told him they had gone to Paris. He blinked slowly, which in cat language either meant he understood my pain or wanted me to feed him. It was hard to tell. Then my phone buzzed again. It was Rachel. She wrote that Paris had been amazing, that I would have loved it, and that they missed me. I read those words 3 times. They missed me. Not that they were sorry I could not come, not that they wished they could have included me, not that there had been a misunderstanding. They missed me like I had chosen not to go. Like I had been invited and had said, no thanks. I typed and deleted 4 different responses. I wrote that they had lied to me, but it felt too aggressive. I wrote asking why I had not been invited, but it felt too pathetic. I wrote budget issues, huh? But it felt too passive-aggressive, even though passive-aggressive felt pretty appropriate right then. I wrote that mom had said the trip was canceled, but even that felt too explanatory. Like I owed my sister an explanation for being confused about getting systematically excluded from a family vacation I thought no longer existed. I deleted everything and did not respond. Then I did what any rational person would do when their entire family had just exposed a coordinated lie on social media. I went through the entire Facebook album again, methodically, like I was gathering evidence for a trial. Photo 12 showed my mom and dad kissing in front of the Eiffel Tower at sunset, with a caption about 40 years and still being in love. Photo 34 showed Rachel and Ashley doing a champagne toast with a caption about sisters before misters and the best trip ever. Photo 56 showed all the grandkids eating gelato with a caption about making memories with the cousins. Photo 73 showed everyone at a fancy restaurant with multiple wine bottles on the table. The caption said they were celebrating family and that there was nothing better than that. I zoomed in on that one and counted the wine bottles. 7. At a Paris restaurant, that meal had to be at least $400, minimum. But sure, budget issues. Then Ashley texted me. She said they had just gotten back from the most amazing trip. She said Paris was incredible. Then she told me I had to go someday. I had to go someday, as if I had not been supposed to go that day, with them. I still did not respond. Benson bit my hand and demanded pets, so I gave him what he wanted. I asked him what I should do. He purred, which was not helpful. I could have called my mom right then. I could have demanded an explanation. I could have asked why I had not been invited, why she had lied, why everyone had lied. But what would that accomplish? She would have an excuse. She would have a reason. She would find a way to make it sound less cruel than it was. She would tell me they had not wanted to burden me, or that I was too busy with work, or that they knew I did not like long flights, or that it had been a last-minute thing. All lies. But she would deliver those lies with such conviction that somehow I would end up apologizing for being hurt. That was how it always worked in my family. I would point out something hurtful, my mom would reframe it, I would feel guilty, then everyone would move on. Not this time. This time, I sat with it. I let myself feel the full weight of what they had done. They planned a trip. They saved money. They booked flights. They packed bags. They went to Paris. They spent a week together. They posted 87 photos. And they did not tell me. Not because they forgot, not because of a miscommunication, not because something changed at the last second. They did not tell me because they did not want me there. That was the part that hurt the most. Not the exclusion itself, but the intentionality behind it. They chose this. I opened my laptop and searched for flights to Paris from my city. Round trip, it would have been about $1,500. I could have afforded that easily, especially since I had just given them $650 in emergency money that had apparently gone toward baguettes and Louvre tickets. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was the family group chat, the one I had muted because the notifications were constant and mostly photos of Rachel's kids doing normal kid things. I unmuted it and scrolled up. There were 3 weeks of messages. Planning, excitement, packing lists, restaurant reservations, comments about not being able to wait. All of it had been happening while my mom was telling me the anniversary trip was canceled. I read every message. I saw my sisters coordinating outfits for photos. I saw my mom asking about restaurant reservations. I saw my dad making jokes about French people and berets. Not one person asked if they should tell me. Not one person suggested inviting me. Not one person even mentioned my name. Just planning, excitement, then Photos. 87 of them. I scrolled to the bottom. The most recent message was from Rachel, saying she already missed Paris and calling it the best family trip ever. Ashley replied that they needed to do it every year. Then my mom wrote that she was so blessed to have this family and that she loved them all. I stared at that message for a long time. All. Apparently, all meant everyone but me. I closed the group chat, put my phone face down, and sat in silence while Benson curled up in my lap and started purring. The only family member who consistently showed up for me was a cat who knocked things off counters for fun. That night, I did not sleep. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling and replaying every conversation from the last month. Every time I had asked about the anniversary trip, every time my mom said it was canceled, every time I believed her. I felt stupid. That was the worst part. Not just the hurt, but the stupidity. How had I not known? How had I missed all the signs? But that was the thing. There were no signs. They were good at this, practiced, like they had done it before. And maybe they had. How many other family things had I been excluded from? How many canceled plans had actually only been canceled for me? My alarm went off at 6 in the morning. I dragged myself out of bed, showered, went to work, and functioned. Barely. Jenny noticed right away. She told me I looked like hell. I said I had not slept. She asked if it was still family stuff. I said yes. She asked if I wanted to talk about it. I told her not yet. She nodded and brought me coffee with an extra shot of espresso. Jenny understood the universal language of, everything sucks, but caffeine helps. I made it through that day, then another, then another. I did not respond to any messages. I did not comment on the Paris album. I did not call my mom. I just existed in this strange limbo of knowing something terrible, but not knowing what to do with it. A week passed. The Paris album got more comments, more likes, more jealous little responses from distant relatives who did not know I existed, let alone that I had been excluded. I watched it happen silently, like an anthropologist studying a foreign culture, except the culture was my own family, and I was apparently optional. Then, exactly 1 week after I saw the album, my phone rang. It was my mom. I stared at her name on the screen and watched it ring until it went to voicemail. I did not check the message. She called again an hour later. Then again that evening. On the fourth call, I answered. I said hi. She sounded relieved and said she had been trying to reach me all day. I told her I had been busy. She said she needed to talk to me about something important. I thought this was it, the apology, the explanation, the moment where she said she could explain Paris. Instead, she said she needed my help. I asked, with what? She said they were in a bit of a financial bind. My dad's truck was acting up again. The truck. The same truck with the $1,500 transmission that had supposedly canceled our Vermont trip. The trip that never existed. Then she said they needed about $5,000 to cover it, plus some other bills that had piled up. $5,000. After Paris. After lying to me. After excluding me. After 87 photos of the family vacation I was never invited to. $5,000. She asked if I could help them out. She said she knew it was a lot, but I was doing so well, and they were really struggling right now. I sat there in silence, processing the fact that she needed money from me 1 week after champagne toasts, fancy dinners, matching luggage, and a Paris vacation she had hidden from me. She asked if I was still there. I said I was. She asked if I could help. I opened my laptop and pulled up Photoshop. Then I told her I would see what I could do and get back to her. She thanked me. She called me honey. She said I was such a good son and that she knew she could count on me. A good son. I hung up. Benson jumped onto my desk and watched me work. I told him we were about to do something. He meowed, and I chose to interpret that as approval. I created a screenshot of a banking app. It showed a failed transaction with insufficient funds. It was fake, completely fake, but it looked real enough. I saved it and stared at it. Then I opened the family group chat, the one I had been silently watching for a week, and I started typing. I looked at the fake screenshot one more time before sending it. It was clean, simple, exactly like my banking app looked when a transfer failed. My finger hovered over send. Part of me felt guilty. That was the part of me that had been trained for 29 years to put their needs first. Then I remembered the 87 photos. I sent my mom a message saying I was sorry that my account was showing insufficient funds and that I had attached a screenshot. I told her it looked like I had been spending more than I thought. The 3 typing dots appeared immediately. My mom asked if I could check with the bank because maybe it was an error. I told her I would look into it and that it might take a few days. She said they really needed it soon because the truck situation was urgent. Urgent. Everything was always urgent when they needed money. I told her I understood and that I would see what I could figure out. Then I put my phone down, opened my laptop, and started doing math. 8 people had gone to Paris. Conservatively, flights were about $1,500 per person. 8 people made that $12,000. A hotel in Paris for a week, even with 2 rooms or shared arrangements, was easily around $3,000. Food and activities were probably at least $4,000. The total was somewhere around $19,000 for a trip they had said was canceled because of budget issues. I pulled up the Facebook album again and counted carefully. Mom, Dad, Rachel, Ashley, both of their husbands, Aunt Carol, Uncle Greg. 8 people went to Paris. 8 people who could afford it. My mom wanted $5,000 from me. $5,000 divided by 8 people was $625 each. I opened my notes app and started typing. This had to be perfect. Not angry, just mathematical. After 20 minutes, I had it. I wrote that my mom had reached out about needing $5,000 for an emergency and that unfortunately I was unable to help right now. I mentioned the attached screenshot. Then I wrote that I had done the math. I said I had noticed that 8 people had just returned from Paris. I said the photos were beautiful, by the way. Then I wrote that if mom needed $5,000, 5,000 divided by the 8 people who went to Paris equaled $625 each. I added that if they preferred to split it by couples, 5,000 divided by 4 couples equaled $1,250 per couple. I wrote that this seemed fair because everyone who could afford the Paris anniversary trip should be able to split the emergency. I asked them to let me know how they wanted to handle Venmo. Then I forwarded my mom's request below and ended by saying I hoped this helped. I read it 3 times. It was polite, it was helpful, it was mathematical, and it was absolutely devastating. I copied my mom's original message and pasted it underneath. I attached the fake screenshot. My finger hovered over send again. This was it. Everything would change after this. I hit send. Then I immediately typed one more message saying I was going to step back from the family chat for a while and that everyone had the math. Before anyone could respond, I left the group. The chat disappeared. My phone was silent for 45 seconds. Then it exploded. Rachel texted me and asked what the hell was wrong with me. Ashley asked if I was serious. My mom told me to call her right now. Rachel texted again and said I had humiliated the entire family. My dad texted that my mother was crying. I watched the messages pile up, but I did not open any of them. My phone started ringing. Mom, declined. Rachel, declined. Ashley, declined. I turned on Do Not Disturb, made a sandwich, and turned on Netflix. My phone kept lighting up on the coffee table. Notification after notification. After an hour, they slowed down. Then they stopped. I picked it up. 53 unread texts. 7 missed calls. I did not open any of them. Then a different notification came through. Venmo. Ashley had sent me $5 with a memo that said, budget issues, and a crying laughing face. I stared at it. She was mocking me. $5, like this was funny. Then another Venmo notification came in. Rachel's husband Tom sent me $5 with a memo that said it was for the Paris Fund. Then Aunt Carol sent $5 with a memo about family helping family with a heart and an eye roll face. 3 people, $15 total, out of 5,000, with mocking memos. They thought this was a joke. I screenshotted each payment and saved them. Then I accepted all 3 and sent requests back. To Ashley, I requested $625 with a memo that said it was her share of my mom's $5,000 emergency and that the math was in the previous message. To Tom, I requested $625 with the same memo. To Aunt Carol, I requested $625 with the same memo. Then I sent the same request to everyone else who had gone to Paris. Rachel, Mike, Uncle Greg, Mom, Dad. 8 requests total, $5,000. My phone erupted again. Ashley asked if I was insane. Tom called it harassment. Rachel said she was blocking me. My mom begged me to stop and said I was hurting everyone. I silenced the notifications and made another sandwich. I had spent 29 years being the reliable one, the wallet, the person they could call whenever they needed help. Not anymore. Now I was just a guy with a calculator, a fake screenshot, and zero tolerance for people who excluded me from Paris but expected me to fund their emergencies. And honestly, it felt pretty good. The next morning, I woke up to 127 notifications, texts, calls, voicemails, even an email from my mom with the subject line, "Please read." I deleted the email without opening it and made coffee. My phone kept buzzing like an angry hornet. Around noon, my doorbell rang. I checked the peephole. Rachel was standing there in expensive athleisure, holding her phone like it was a weapon. I did not open the door. She knocked and said she knew I was home because my car was there. I stayed silent. She said this was ridiculous and told me to open the door. I still said nothing. Finally, she said she would just say it through the door. She told me I had embarrassed the entire family. She said Mom was devastated. She asked if I actually thought they were going to pay those Venmo requests. I walked to my bedroom and put on headphones. She knocked for another 5 minutes, then left. My phone buzzed again. It was a text from an unknown number. It was Ashley, using a friend's phone because I had blocked her. She wrote that what I had done was cruel. I typed back that what was cruel was lying about a canceled trip, and that what I had done was math. She responded that they had not lied, they had just not told me. I told her that was literally lying. She said it had been Mom's decision, and that Mom did not think I would want to come. I asked if she had asked me. Ashley said I was always busy with work. I reminded her that I had requested time off for Vermont, the trip they had canceled. There was a long pause. Then she said Paris was different. I asked how. She said Paris was expensive and that they had not wanted me to feel obligated. I stared at that message. They had protected me by lying, excluding me, and posting 87 photos online. I told her not to contact me again. Then I blocked that number too. Over the next few days, they tried everything. Aunt Carol came to my door with cookies. I did not answer. Uncle Greg sent an email about family unity. I deleted it. My mom left voicemails, first apologetic, then angry, then crying. In one, she said I was tearing the family apart. I saved them all. Evidence. On the 5th day, something unexpected happened. A Venmo notification came through, but it was not a request. It was a payment. Uncle Greg sent me $625 with a memo that said it was for the truck and that I had been right. I stared at it. Then another payment came in. Aunt Carol sent $625 with a memo apologizing for Paris. My phone rang from an unknown number. I answered and Uncle Greg told me not to hang up. I said I was listening. He told me he had paid his share and that Carol had paid hers. Then he sighed and said he had not realized I was not invited until he saw my message. He said my mom had told him I was too busy with work. I told him she had lied. He said he was seeing that now. Then he said what they had done was wrong and he wanted me to know that some of them understood. I thanked him. He told me to take care of myself. Then he hung up. $1,250 from 2 people I barely knew. They were the only ones who paid. Jenny took me to lunch. She asked if Uncle Greg and Aunt Carol had really paid. I said yes. She asked about my mom, the one who supposedly needed the money. I told her there were 17 voicemails and no payment. Jenny laughed and said the math ruined my mom's narrative. Exactly. Then Jenny asked what I actually wanted out of all this. She asked what my end goal was. I thought about it. Then I said I just wanted them to leave me alone. She told me families like mine did not let go easily. I said I would keep blocking numbers. She nodded and told me not to let it consume me. She told me not to let them live rent-free in my head. I told her they had lived rent-free there for 29 years and that I was evicting them. On the 9th day, my mom created a new Facebook account to message me. She wrote that she could not believe I was doing this after everything she had done for me. She reminded me that she was my mother. Then she said my father's truck was broken and that it was my fault. I screenshotted the message and saved it. Then I did something impulsive. I posted the screenshot of her original money request and my response with the math on my Facebook, publicly. The caption said that when your family lies about canceling a trip due to budget issues, goes to Paris without telling you, and then asks for $5,000 a week later, the math speaks for itself. I tagged everyone who went to Paris. Within an hour, the post had 50 likes. Comments started rolling in. People called it insane. People called out the audacity. People said they were sorry it happened to me. Then a distant cousin commented something that stopped me cold. She asked if this had happened to me too, because they had done the same thing to her family at Christmas. This was not their first time. They had a pattern. Rachel found the post and called me from another number. She told me to take it down right now. I said no. She said I was making them look terrible. I told her I had posted facts and that they had made themselves look terrible. She called it defamation. I told her it was a screenshot of my mom's own message and math. She said I was destroying the family. I told her they had already done that, and I was just showing the receipts. She hung up. The post kept getting shared. Comments came in from people I barely knew. Some said the same thing had happened with their in-laws. Some said boundaries were healthy. Some said the Paris photos paired with the budget issues excuse were next level. Then my mom called from a different number. She told me to take the post down right now. I said no. She said I was humiliating her. I told her she had humiliated herself. She said she was my mother. I told her I was the son she had lied to, the son she had excluded, the son she had only called when she needed money. She started to say that they thought something, but I cut her off. I said they thought I would be their wallet, and when I was not, they got mad. She said that was not true. I asked why she had lied about the trip being canceled. Silence. I asked why she had not invited me to Paris. More silence. I asked why she had asked me for $5,000 a week after a nearly $20,000 vacation. She tried to ask how I knew the cost. I told her I had done the math and that she would know that if she had read my message. Then she started crying and said I was being cruel. I told her I was being honest and that there was a difference. She said she did not know me anymore. I told her that was good because the me she had known was a doormat, and I was done with that. Then I hung up. The post stayed up. By evening, it had 200 likes, 50 comments, and 10 shares. And my family went completely silent. No more calls, no more messages, no more showing up at my door. Just silence. For the first time in 9 days, I slept through the night. 3 months later, my life looked completely different. Not because of some dramatic transformation, but because of what was no longer there. No constant text asking for money, no guilt trips about missing events I had never been invited to, no voicemails cycling through anger and tears, just silence and space and room to breathe. I kept the $1,250 from Uncle Greg and Aunt Carol and put it in savings. Some part of me wanted to keep it separate, like evidence that not everyone in my family was completely broken. Work got better too. I got promoted again. It turned out that when I was not emotionally exhausted from family drama, I had energy for actual career growth. Jenny took me out to celebrate at the same Thai place we always went to. She told me I looked lighter. I told her I felt lighter. She asked if I had any regrets about the Facebook post. The post was still up, with 243 likes. I told her I had no regrets. It was the truth. She asked if my mom had ever taken down the Paris photos. I said no. They were still up, all 87 of them. My apartment changed too. I replaced the couch my mom had given me. I bought a new one, comfortable, mine. I hung up real art pieces I had chosen myself. The apartment finally felt like mine, not like a place I was borrowing until I rejoined the family orbit. In late November, I got a message from my cousin Sophie, the one who had commented on my Facebook post. She said she was going to be in town the next week and asked if I wanted to grab coffee. We had met maybe twice at family reunions and had exchanged maybe 10 words total. We met at a coffee shop. She was in her early 30s, worked in finance, and had the kind of tired eyes that told me she had dealt with her own family issues. She thanked me for meeting her and said she had wanted to reach out ever since my post. I asked how things were with her family. She said they were still a mess, but she had cut them off 2 years earlier and it was the best decision she had ever made. I asked if it had been hard. She said it had been terrifying at first. She said you spend your whole life thinking you need them, and then you realize that sometimes family is just people who share DNA and take advantage. I told her that was exactly how it felt. She said my post had really resonated with her, especially the math. Just facts. She said it was what she wished she had done. I told her some people had said I was being petty. She said some people enable abuse and call it family loyalty. Then she sipped her coffee and told me that after she cut off her parents, she had waited for guilt and regret. It never came, only relief. I told her relief was what I was feeling too. She said that meant I had made the right choice. We talked for 2 hours about family dysfunction, about boundaries, about the strange guilt that comes with being the first person to say no. When we left, she hugged me and told me I was going to be okay. Better than okay. I asked if she really thought so. She said she knew so because I had chosen myself. December came, which meant the holiday season, which also meant family pressure season. One day, I got a text from an unknown number. It was my mom using a friend's phone. She wrote that my father's birthday was the next week, that there would be dinner at Rachel's, and that I was invited if I wanted to come. She added that there was no pressure. No pressure. After 3 months of silence. I stared at that message. Part of me wanted to go. The part of me that remembered birthday cakes and the version of my mom who used to braid my hair when I was little. But that mom had chosen to become someone else. Someone who lied about trips and asked for money after excluding me. I typed back that I appreciated the invitation, but I was not ready yet. I said maybe someday, and that I hoped Dad had a good birthday. Polite, honest, firm. There was no response, but I did not expect one. Christmas came. I spent it with Jenny's family. They had invited me weeks in advance. Her mom made too much food. Her dad told bad jokes. Her siblings argued about board games. It was chaotic and warm and everything my family dinners never were. While Jenny and I were doing dishes, she asked if I was good. I said I was. Really good. She asked if I had any regrets. I told her my family had invited me to Dad's birthday after 3 months of silence, and that was not reconciliation. It was obligation. She nodded and said I was getting good at this boundary stuff. New Year's came. I made resolutions. Exercise more. Read more. Maybe travel. Nothing about family, just forward motion. In January, Uncle Greg called. He asked how I was. I told him I was good. I asked how he was. He said he could not complain. Then he said he had heard I had been promoted again. I said yes and thanked him. He told me my mom asked about me sometimes through Carol. He said she would not admit that she missed me, but she did. I told him I did not know what to do with that. He said I did not have to do anything. He just thought I should know. There was a pause. Then he told me that if I ever wanted to talk, he was there. I thanked him. Before we hung up, he told me I had done the right thing. He said setting boundaries had taken guts. After the call, I sat with that for a while. I had not been waiting for validation, but hearing it from someone in the family still meant something. February brought my birthday, the first one since everything happened. No calls, no texts, no cards from my family. At first, I thought it might hurt, but it did not. Jenny threw me a small party. Coworkers came. Sophie drove in from out of town. We ate pizza and played board games until midnight. At one point, Jenny pulled me aside and wished me a happy birthday. Then she asked if I was good. I looked around at the people who had shown up because they wanted to, not out of obligation, not because we shared DNA, not because they expected money from me. I told her I was perfect. Then I said this was my family now, the one I chose. She smiled and said I was damn right. Late that night, after everyone left, I sat on my new couch with Benson in my lap and the apartment quiet around me. I thought about the year before when I had been eating leftover pizza alone while my family was in Paris. I thought about the 87 photos, the lies, the budget issues, the fake screenshot, the math, the public post. And I did not feel angry anymore. I did not feel hurt. I just felt free. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. It was Rachel. She wrote that she knew I probably would not respond, but she had seen my promotion on LinkedIn. She congratulated me and said I deserved it. There was no apology, no acknowledgement of Paris, just a small peace offering. I did not respond immediately. I sat with it. Finally, I typed, "Thank you." That was all. Maybe someday there would be more conversation. Maybe we would rebuild something. Maybe not today. Maybe not ever. And that was okay. Because I had learned something important. I had learned that I did not owe people access to my life just because they were family. I did not owe them forgiveness. I did not owe them explanations. I owed myself peace. I owed myself boundaries. I owed myself the right to walk away from people who treated me like a wallet. The Paris photos were still up, all 87 of them. But I had stopped checking. I had stopped counting. I had stopped caring. They were living their truth. I was living mine. And my truth was this apartment, this couch, this cat, these friends, this job, this life I had built after walking away. And it was enough, more than enough. It was everything.